Welcome to Real Talk with Sean, everybody. This evening, I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Daphne, who is living with a terminal illness. I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening, Daphne, and I do thank you for accepting my invite.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And before I even ask my first question, I want to let you know that I think you're a trooper, like you're a warrior. I
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I watch you online and I know that your physical body is going through an illness, but mentally you're at least I know that you have your moments. Um, but what you show us online, like you're really holding up mentally, and I think you're a very strong woman.
thank you. I appreciate that.
What is the name of the terminal illness that you have?
Well, I actually have two. One is multiple myeloma, which is a form of cancer. And that is actually in remission now after I spent some time with chemotherapy.
Okay.
And the second one that is still active is called amyloidosis.
Explain to people who do not know what
Mhm.
terminal, like what does a terminal illness mean?
It means that there is no cure, and there's only so much that they can do. For example, with the amyloidosis, since there's no cure, they told me that if I started chemo, it would stop the disease from progressing any further, but it would not go away or it would not heal or take care of the damage that I've already suffered before being diagnosed. And they gave me, a shortened amount of time to live, which is an estimate because, God has the final say so. But based on what both diseases do, they said, the chemo, if you don't take chemo, you'll be dead within a year.
Mhm.
If you do try the chemo, which I did decide to do, it will give you, more than 2 years, but not many. So here
Wow.
we are.
That's and of course I've never heard of amyloid doses. Am I right?
Mm, yes.
Okay. Now I know people hear the word cancer and immediately think that that means death, but it doesn't. I mean, as she just stated, we know that people have beat cancer for years, and you're in remission. So that means that right now there's no sign. I'm assuming. Let me say that there's no sign of the cancer in your body.
That is correct. That is from the multiple myeloma, and that is actually in remission, but I'm tested every month just to see if it's coming back or not. And as of right now, I'm still clear.
You're gonna keep that way. Nothing. It's not coming back.
Okay.
So, when you get tested monthly, what does that entail?
I go in for blood work. They draw blood and they take urine, and then they test that, and that gives them an idea where I'm at, if it's coming back or if I'm still in remission.
I always found that amazing. So just based off of blood, just the blood work can detect the cancer cells and not, you don't always have to have an MRI or a CAT scan. Um, they actually can detect the cells within the blood. That's so in your urine. You said that, right?
Well, it's kind of tricky, and I'm not that good with all of the medical terminology. I just try to make it as basic,
Yeah.
so that I'm able to understand it in others. So I'll say this: it's not as simple as a blood or urine test, so they say. I actually had to have my organs start to shut down and go through all of these changes physically before they would order a biopsy, which is through the biopsy that they were able to diagnose me. Without the biopsy, it was not detectable in my blood or my urine. However, I was told that after the biopsy and after being diagnosed and after starting chemo, per the doctor's suggestion, that now when you come in each month, whatever it is we're looking for, the protein in your urine or whatever it is in your blood, we can now do a blood test or urine test just to see if it's active. But they weren't able to use either one of those to initially diagnose me.
Okay, okay. So that's just to see if the protein is
It,
visible or there.
yes,
We'll go from there and do further.
yes.
Okay, understood,
Mhm.
understood. Now, what were the symptoms you were having that even now let me back up. What is the amyloidosis? Like what is that?
Okay, the amyloidosis, and I wrote it down just because I wanted to get it right. I started remembering all of the, like I said, medical terminology
Yeah.
on top of dealing with challenges with your health. But anyway, amyloidosis is a buildup of amyloid in the heart, liver, kidneys, and other organs. It is a rare disease that occurs when a protein called amyloid builds up in those organs, causing those organs to not work properly.
Wow. So it's a
Mhm.
protein that I'm assuming should not be there. If it
Or
builds up,
over a certain amount of protein that should not be there. Yes.
wow. And then that, of course, causes the organs to start to
It's
shut down.
it starts attacking your organs, and they're not even able to diagnose the amyloidosis until one of your organs starts shutting down, so you got to be pretty bad off by the time they're even able to diagnose you. I'm sorry.
I said, that's crazy. Like you have to actually be, like you said, an organ shutting down before they can even start to detect
Yes,
the
before they'll order testing to do a biopsy to even see what you have. Yes.
wow. So is it a form of cancer or in its own category of diseases?
It is in its own category of diseases. However, it is treated like cancer with the chemotherapy. It's actually, I've come to the knowledge that it is a rare disease that primarily attacks African Americans. And as an African American, I'd never heard of it. I never met anybody that had it. I haven't heard any talk about it. So I was shocked to hear that. And it
Wow.
also usually targets African American men. So it's rare that it attacks, women. So yeah, made it even more of a rare disease for me.
Which is, of course, baffling to me because considering that we all have the same organs and, our blood runs through our veins the same as any other race. It baffles me as to why certain demographics or certain races get diseases and others are not more prone to having that particular disease. That
I
that
agree.
that's something that, yeah, just has always baffled me. And in particular, it's like sickle cell. Like I just don't understand how that's dominant in African Americans. Um,
Right.
yeah, that's wow. So it's treated with chemo. What medicines do you take as far as the chemo?
Well, they've stopped my chemo treatments about 2 months ago, and they're
Mm.
just monitoring me right now. And like I said, the multiple myeloma, which is a form of cancer, that is in remission. And the amyloidosis is still active, but they're watching me closely just to make sure, it's not getting worse. They can't make it better, but they can kind of keep me stable and keep it from getting worse or progressing.
But I heard you mention chemo with the amyloidosis, right? Initially,
Yes, yes.
that the chemo was just something that they were seeing if that would kill or I guess reduce the proteins, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, to reduce the proteins. So they started the chemo and I was on that for, several months, and then they stopped it, because they would test me each month when I would go. I went when I initially started the chemo, it was the type of chemo that I was taking. I would take 25 pills at home before I would leave to go to my appointment that morning, and I had to keep them down. And I was already having issues with throwing up and nausea, but you have to keep it down. So the day of my appointment, I had to take 25 pills before going to the chemo treatment center. And then I would go and they would give me infusions or injections into my stomach of some kind of drug, like they just, and push it in your stomach through this little needle and tube. And I would go for that. At first, I had to go once a week because of how bad the disease was at that time. And then it went to, twice a week, I mean, twice a month from once every week. And then eventually I went to once a month. And then finally, about 2 months ago, they stopped the treatment completely, temporarily.
Wow. Well, I mean, I can only imagine you having to go through chemotherapy within itself, like just makes you feel like walking death.
Yes,
So
yes,
I can only imagine. And then having to take 25 pills, which says to me that they must have been treating it aggressively. Because I mean,
yes. They started it right away. And he told me that my oncologist at Palo Verde Cancer Center explained that because it is so bad, because it has gotten so bad, he said when you started noticing symptoms of not feeling right, the disease had already started, 6, 7 months up to a year before you even started noticing those symptoms. So by the time my kidney started shutting down, I went into kidney disease stage 3, entering stage 4. They're like, okay, something serious is going on here. No healthy, normal person goes from perfectly normal, healthy, kidney function to stage 3, entering stage 4. There's usually a progression. So they had to start treating it aggressively, and they did right away. Yes.
Wow. So what were some of the symptoms that you were having that prompted you to say, okay, now, because I know sometimes we can have symptoms and like, okay, I'm just going to ride this out, see if it, dissipates or goes away over the course of how many days or whatever. Or did it like just hit you all at once? Was it a progression?
Yes, it was actually a progression. It started in April of 2021. I made plans to move that year, to quit my job, load up all of my things, and move to Florida to be roommates with my older sister. We were going to live our best lives. Our children were grown. And in April, I went to the park one day, and I would go to the park, a couple times a week to go walk. And this particular day, while I was walking, all of a sudden I got really dizzy, and I knew that I was about to lose consciousness, and I panicked and I called for help, and then I just passed out. And instead of going to the doctor right after that happened, I just thought, maybe I got overheated in the heat, and I really wasn't thinking much of it, because otherwise I was healthy. So I didn't really pay attention to that. So then a few months later, I started having some aching, like similar to arthritis, which runs in my family. So I just
Shuck. Hmm.
in a minute, maybe this is arthritis. Didn't think of it. So I quit my job, loaded everything up, moved to Florida. And I moved to Florida in November of 2021. 2 weeks after moving, the aching started to get worse to the point where ibuprofen wasn't doing it, Tylenol wasn't doing it. And at the time, I had some tramadol and I had some Vicodin that was left over from some procedures that I had. So I
Hmm.
started to take the tramadol. That wasn't doing it. I'm like, okay, what kind of arthritis do I have? So then I started to take the Vicodin, which is a narcotic, and that wasn't taking away the pain. And so I started to get kind of scared because I hadn't started at my job in Florida, which would have given me insurance to go see a doctor. I didn't have any money, to go pay cash for specialists. So I applied for Medicaid in that state. And for whatever reason, and I do believe everything happens for a reason, I
Right.
was denied. So I needed to be seen. So I just kept going to the emergency room because each day the pain had gotten to the point where I believe in God, a higher power. I believe, I won't say heaven or hell. I believe there is something after this, and how you live this life will determine where you end up next. So suicide, that wasn't something I would have ever seen myself considering. But the pain got so bad, and I would go to the emergency room. I went to several, and I would be crying and telling them, "Help me! I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm in excruciating pain." Now, with the ways that the government handles narcotics and pain management, they treat everybody like you're just drug
I
seeking.
know.
So unless you got something really serious or you about to
Uh-huh.
die, they ain't giving you no pain medicine. And if they do, it's for 3 or 4 days.
Yep.
Okay. So they would tell me, "Hey, we don't know what's wrong with you. We can run these tests. However, you're going to need to see a specialist. There's only so much we can do in the emergency room. But by law, we have to treat you and bring your pain level down while you're here. But
Right.
then we are going to send you off, and you got to figure it out from there." So with no money, no insurance, and in this excruciating pain that was getting worse every day, I'm just like, God, what do I do? I was just at my wit's end. So it turned out that my father died, and my mother, he left some insurance money for my mom. It wasn't a lot, but she called me and she said, I want to help you. And then, until you can get insurance, I'm willing to pay for you to see the necessary specialist and have the necessary testing to find out what's wrong. Now that I thought was solution, and that gave me a little bit of hope. my mother spent over $10,000 for me to see specialists and to have me tested, only for them to say, "We still don't know what's wrong with you." And I'm like, "So
Wow.
what am I supposed to do? I'm in all this pain." And they're
Wow.
like, "Yeah, because we don't know if the pain is legitimate. Oh, we can't give you
What?
anything. You got we got to send you to more specialists." Well, specialists are starting $400 just to be
Yeah.
seen. Okay. So it was just the money was racking up. I'm not trying to use all my elderly mother's,
Yeah.
insurance money. It was just really depressing. But God ended up sending me to she happened to be a black rheumatologist in Florida. And I was going there for her to go over some test results. And I think it was $400 just to meet with her.
Mhm.
And she came in, and when she was going over my notes, she said, "You were tested some months ago and you're in kidney failure right at the door of dialysis." I said, "What?" She said, "They didn't tell you?" I said, "No." She said, "Oh my God. Well, yes, you need to be seen by a nephrologist, a kidney doctor right away." That was $400 just to go see this doctor. So when I went to go see that doctor, he told me that he said, Something major is going on and we don't know what it is. The only way we can determine what it is that is attacking your kidneys is for a doctor to order a biopsy. And that is very expensive. People don't just pay for that out of pocket. So once I moved to Arizona, where my mother was living and where I'm residing now, I was able to get Medicaid. God opened the doors. I was able to get, the medical coverage that I needed. And once that went into effect, the doctors ordered the biopsy for me to have. And the first biopsy that I had showed what it was that was attacking my kidneys. So the nephrologist let me know, "Hey, we got your results back. You have a rare disease called amyloidosis, which I had never heard of. That's why you're in all of this pain. Now there's nothing we can do for you. We have to send you over to an oncologist at a cancer center because that's how they treat this disease, even though it's not cancer."
Right.
So that's when I was referred to Palo Verde Cancer Center, and they've been wonderful. And they told me that they had to start treating it with chemo, otherwise I would die within a year. And to be honest, after enduring all of that pain, when I say it was so unbearable that when the hospitals would turn me away, I would tell God, "Listen, I don't want to disappoint you, but I can't take this pain or this suffering. I'm gonna have to go ahead and kill myself because I can't do it." And God let me know I wouldn't be successful in doing that. However, shortly after, God opened the door and they told me, "Listen, if you don't start chemo, you'll be dead within a year. But if you start it, it'll give you, a few more years. And maybe if a miracle happens, you may live longer than that. Or if we find a cure, before it's too late, these are things that are possibilities." So I started the chemo. They also decided when I started the chemo that they wanted to do another biopsy for some reason because something came back that caused for concern in my test results. So they had me do a bone biopsy, and it wasn't until then that they found out I had the form of cancer, which is called multiple myeloma. So on top of the amyloidosis, which attacks your organ, all your major organs, the multiple myeloma attacks your blood and your bones. So I got a double whammy, and I'm just like, "Oh my goodness."
So
Yes,
that right there is a full body whammy. I mean, because you have
full
your
body.
skin attacked and then the blood in your bones. Am I right?
Yes. So I asked the doctor, I said, "I'm in a lot of pain. Can you help me?" And the doctor looked at me and he said, "We will do everything that we can to keep you comfortable because what you have is so severe." So he sent over the prescription, but I didn't know what it was. So when I went to the pharmacy after leaving my appointment to pick up the prescription, and they told me I looked and they asked, was I there to pick up the morphine? And I said, "The what?"
Wow.
So I called the doctor and I'm like, "Am I getting ready to die soon?" Like I went from not being able to get pain medicine to you all are giving me morphine. They're like, "We're giving you whatever it's going to take to keep you comfortable that you're able to take because there's certain medications that I'm not able to because of the condition of my kidneys." But the doctors have been phenomenal. They keep me comfortable as far as pain management is concerned, and constant testing just to make sure things are not getting worse.
I
So
love it
that's
that,
what,
that you
yeah.
have doctors that are actually doing whatever they can
Yes, yes.
comfortable. And I also, there were several things that you said that resonated with me. The fact that I understand that, the drug epidemic as far as pain medicine and how the laws have changed. It's just unfortunate for those that are really in pain. And I heard you mention they say,
Yes.
they said at one time, we don't know if you're really in pain. Like,
Yes.
I mean, but it's crazy because you would think by the way that you're looking, not even the way someone's acting, but their physical look says that
Yes.
they're in pain. But we have some actors and actresses out here that mess it
Yeah,
up.
that are yes, you're right. That
For
are quite convincing.
Yes,
Yes.
they are,
Mhm.
for those that are like you that are really suffering with something. And I mean, I'm just thankful that you're still here because to endure that mentally, because I mean the physical pain is definitely there and your body feels all of it. But like you
Yes.
said, mentally to endure that takes a hell of a person to be able to go through that with no pain medicine working. And that alone, I mean, clearly it did something because you were in a place of, listen here, God, I know this is not your will, but I'm ready to take myself out of here. So
Yes.
as I
Yes.
said in the beginning, that's what makes me feel, even knowing more, know that you are mentally strong. You're not allowing your mind to let go. Your body is going through some changes, but your mind is still here and you're still fighting. So I mean, yeah, that proves that you're a fighter within itself. Do you have any children? I know
I
your
do.
sister are there, but you can't, please don't tell me you're alone.
No, I'm not alone.
Okay.
My children are all adults living their lives.
Okay.
I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. That's where 3 of my 4 reside, and I have one that moved here. He's living on his own that's here in Arizona. But I live with my older sister and my 91-year-old mother.
Glad that you are, it's times like this that family has to pull together and help, one another, family or friends, because friends are family as well. So, I mean,
Yes.
how's this affecting them? I mean, I can imagine, but how's it
Um,
affecting them seeing you go through this?
uh, I see the effects that it's had on them. My mother in particular, some of the side effects or symptoms of the diseases are, loss of appetite, unexplained weight loss, not to mention the effects of the chemo that I feel are detrimental. So seeing, my family members when they look at me, tears welling up in their eyes, are just like, "Are you getting ready to die?" Or "Please eat so you don't wither away to nothing." And I'm looking like, if I could, I would, I would. So I've seen the effects that it's had, which made it a little harder for me because I would think, okay, I know I'm doing bad, but seeing the reactions of the people around me is making me wonder, am I worse off than what I thought?
Yeah.
But I will say this, I have found that when you are at your lowest point, that God will reveal to you who's who. And people that you think, people that are your family with the same blood running through their veins may not walk in that role. And there will be, complete strangers or friends that um, fill the void that a family would or become a family in that instance. So it's been a lot of surprises on top of my failing health and not being able to work and losing everything. And even feeling like I was losing my mind at one point just because of having to deal with the pain and not feeling like I was getting any help. And then on top of that, to lose people, or not lose, but to come to the realization that everybody that I thought cared about me,
Mhm.
most didn't. They were just saying that. Those were just words.
Yeah.
It's been quite an experience. I will say that.
I bet you're right. I mean, going through something like this will it'll definitely single those out that are truly in your corner.
Yes,
It's crazy how things like that happen. And I mean, and I also, not to, because I do understand that when someone is going through a terminal illness, there are people that just can't deal with it. So,
yes,
not to say that you have to take that in perspective because you're the one who actually is suffering the physicalness of it. But I do
yes,
that, some people can't deal with mentally can't deal with watching someone that they really do love go through something such as what you're going through.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure listening to you, you sound like a very rational woman of faith. That I know that you have also put that side into perspective. That maybe they honestly just can't watch you go through that, because when you love somebody, I mean, watching, as you said, the weight loss and in somebody else's mind, they're deteriorating right in front of their face,
Right.
and
Yes.
can kind of make people stay away that really want to be there, but
Are
they just,
not able to. Yes.
yeah. So I
That's
mean,
definitely been the case.
yeah, that's definitely something. But I when I watch you online, I love how you were doing the, I don't know how many days you said, but basically you
The
were,
7-day challenge.
yeah, I love that. So
It was
just,
so hard.
I was gonna say, like, so that just you getting out of bed, getting dressed for the day. Well, let me not say that, because I didn't mean that that way when I say just you, because
No,
let
I
me,
understand. No, I didn't take it that
okay,
way.
good, because I mean, I know what you're going through, because I've been through cancer myself. So I
Mm,
really can, not what you're going through, but been there, done that. So I can kind of relate from that perspective, the chemo thing, been there. So I just, that 7 day challenge, it is hard for you to literally get up, get dressed, and smile in front of that camera. That takes a lot out of you.
it takes so much some days. Yesterday we were supposed to actually have this session,
Mhm.
and it was rescheduled for today, and that was God, because I was like, God, I feel so bad. I'm in so much pain. Um,
Ah,
I don't think I can do it, and I don't want to let Sean down, but I don't think I can do it, And then when you messaged me to say that we were rescheduled, I was like, oh, I just cried. Yes, getting out of bed, my worst time is when I open my eyes first thing in the morning. I am greeted with unimaginable pain. It's similar to, I would describe it as being like as if I know rigor mortis sets in, the stiffening of the body once you're dead, but it's like my body gets really stiff throughout the night or the sleeping hours. And when I open my eyes, just to step outside of the bed, something as simple as to walk to the bathroom in the middle of the night or to get up for the day, it takes a lot. It's almost like, I've had days where I'm like, am I going to need an aid or, I don't know. Am I going to be able to bathe myself today? It's just, I don't know. It's scary. So yes, that's very challenging. Something as simple as putting on some clothes. Both diseases have caused some side effects having to do with my skin, and it makes my skin feel as if it's burning, like a severe sunburn. So putting clothes on or anything touching my skin is very uncomfortable. And of course, I can't walk around naked, but
right.
staying in the house, I wear little to nothing, just because of this. So putting on clothes is very challenging. And after we finish with this, as soon as we finish and I press that button, I'm up, I'm out, I'm coming up out these. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
being
blame
honest.
you on that.
I'm being honest.
So just
I'm being honest.
sitting there with those clothes up against your skin like that, and
Yes.
that's part of, and for those who are already watching Daphne, like, I mean, we all know, because I watch her, know about the 7 day challenge that she had. So that is one of the challenges that you have dealt with getting up and even putting on clothes, because so
Yes.
up against your skin, just that
Yeah.
hurts you.
Yes.
So
And in order to be able to leave the house, or even to, if I have, to do some laundry or go fix myself something to eat, I have to take pain medicine every day. I was at 6 to 8 pills a day just to function or make it through the day. And I'm coming down from that, to two to four a day. Yesterday, for some reason, was a really bad day, so I was at six. And it's so many terrible side effects from the pain medicine, and I try not to take it. But like I said, to be able to function or make it through the day, I definitely have to take something in a 24-hour period. I'm not able to go without anything. No.
so of course, with that, having to do that, your body, at the same time that it's helping the pain, of course, from a brain aspect, your body gets addicted to the pain medicine. But of course, in your case, you need it. There is no going without it. I mean, deal with that part later. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah,
But
it's very frustrating because,
yeah,
yes, you form an addiction to it. When they first put me on the morphine, it gave me the most relief, and I was like, "Oh my goodness." I was like, "Oh, I
right.
can handle this amount of
Do it
pain."
again.
And then I missed taking a dose. I felt like I didn't need it, so I didn't wanna take it. I didn't know that you can't miss doses. You gotta keep taking it or your body goes through withdrawals from not having it. And
Yep.
I'm like, I don't wanna take nothing that bring me down to something else, a simpler or not an extreme narcotic. I don't wanna go to the morphine, bring me down. So they took me down to oxycodone,
Hmm.
immediate release. So it starts to work. We're supposed to start to work quickly.
Okay. Of
But taking that because it causes severe itching, and when I say severe, have you ever had chicken pox or
course I do.
poison ivy?
Yep. I've had
And
both.
you know how the itch, okay. The
I do.
pain medicine makes you itch
Yeah.
worse than that, to the point where I draw blood or I have a lot of
Oh my.
I have scratches on every part of my body that I'm able to reach. Some scab, some bleed, some scars are permanently there, but I have to decide, do I want to struggle with the itching and the scratching, or do I want to deal with the pain? And some days the pain is so great where I got to go with the itching and the scratching, in
Very
addition to the
good.
constipation that the pain medicine causes, where you're not able to use the bathroom and you have to take a bunch of stuff for that to prevent yourself from getting a bowel blockage or obstruction. And it is just, whew, I got to pick. It's just like, which one are you going to choose? It's a roll of the dice. You dealing with the pain today or the side effects of the pain medication?
Well, I tell you what, I know what I'd be choosing. I don't want pain. Okay.
I know.
I deal
Yes.
with the rest
Yes.
later, right?
Yeah.
So what made you like going through all of that? What made you, which I love, of course. I mean, I invited you, so you caught my eye and my heart. So what
Oh,
yeah, definitely. What made you decide to go online and share your life with us?
it's going to sound a little strange, and I accept that, but I've always been, before being sick or anything, I've always been a very introverted person. Family, friends, everyone that knows me, coworkers, everybody would always describe me as being a little strange or weird. Um, don't like to be out in the front, don't like to be around a lot of people. My comfort zone is alone and by myself. Kind of shy or self-conscious, and I've been my way that way my entire life. So it wasn't until I got sick, before I was even diagnosed, I was laying in bed, and uh, I had planned my suicide. I called my children, let them know, look, I can't take it. I'm getting ready to check out. I just wanted to let you know. They were sad, but they were supportive. They were like, we don't want to continue to see you suffer, Mom. We support your decision. So I planned my suicide. I was happy. I hung up for my children. And God revealed to me in my spirit, or let me know, you won't be successful. Someone is going to find you. Well, it's like, what? I'm like, nobody gonna find me. That I got that plan too. Nobody's even coming home. So about 30 minutes later, my sister, who had lived in Florida before me moving there, she had been there 7 years. And when I tell this story, she had never returned home once she left for her 10 to 12-hour work days each day. Never in 7 years had she ever come back home until her work day was over. And this particular day, after God revealed that to me in my spirit, I heard the garage go up, then I hear her bust through the house, and she's running up the steps screaming my name. And I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, "Oh no, I was at work, and something just kept telling me to come home and see about you." And I was like, "Oh my God." So
Wow.
even though I still continued to have suicidal thoughts, and not because I was just giving up on life, the suffering I felt was more than I could bear, you
Yeah.
know? But God let me know, until I say it's over, move away from those thoughts, because you will not be successful. As a matter of fact, you're gonna be worse off than what you are now, which I wouldn't want that. So I'm just like, okay, no, I can't do that. No. So I was, after that, it was when God came to me and said, I want you to record videos. Well, someone told me about TikTok,
Mhm.
and I started to watch it because I don't really watch TV. I read, I listen to music, or I just sit in the silence. I just how I am. So somebody introduced me to TikTok. I started watching videos, and listen, it would take my mind off of what I was going through. I would watch and cry and laugh, and I just love TikTok. So I'm laying in bed one day talking to God, and I'm like, God, I'm hurting so bad. Please, could you just hold me? If you don't take it all away, would you just take some of it away? And in an instant, the pain was gone. And I opened my eyes and I was like, oh my goodness, you answered right away. And tears just started to come down my face. God was setting me up. Then God said, I want you to do TikTok videos and share what you're going through. Boy, I sat up in that bed and I was like, what? Look how I look. I was like, oh my goodness. People all over the world will see. I can't do it. I was like, no, I'm so sorry. I can't do it. I don't even know why you would ask me such a thing. So some days went by and I would be calling on God to, lessen the pain or to help me with this or help me with that. And God would be answering and God would be, an- answering my prayers. And I just started thinking, I guess it's kind of like a spirit of conviction came over me. And I'm like, God has been so good to me. Even when I didn't believe that there was a God, God was good to me. God has provided me, a place to go in times when I didn't have anywhere to go. God has opened doors for employment when I didn't have a job. I'm like, I owe you so much. And then it came back in my head again. I need you to do the TikTok video. And I'm like, oh, I didn't want to do it. I was upset about it. I wrestled with it. But I said, you know what? I'm sick. I'm at the bottom. What do I have to lose? I've lost
Yeah,
most of the people in my life anyway. So who cares what the people think on TikTok? If
oh,
God's telling me
exactly.
to record my journey, I will be obedient. And that is exactly what I will do, regardless of the outcome or what
Right.
people think. I just wanted to be obedient to God. So that's how I started, recording my videos. Yeah.
Wow. Now that's
Yeah.
something. Well, I have one last question before I let you go.
Okay.
Will you promise to always spread peace and love in this world?
I promise.
And I believe it. I already know you are. And I wanted to say something else. I think weird is good. So when you said you're kind of weird, I think that's a good thing.
I do too. I haven't always, but I do now
Exactly.
feel that way. Yeah. Set apart, different. There's nothing wrong with that.
There you go. Because I'm like, shoot, who wants to be like everybody else? I mean, we
No.
I call myself that all the time. I love it. And I'm comfortable.
Okay. I'm learning to love it too. I'm learning to love it too.
So now I really want to thank you so much for joining me this evening. I enjoyed speaking with you. I actually learned some things. So I really, really appreciate speaking with you.
I appreciate you having me. I messaged you and told you I was nervous before this. And when I say nervous, I woke up before this morning. I was just like, Lord, I don't know. I'm nervous. But anyway, you assured me that all of that would leave when it started, and I didn't believe you. I'm just being honest. I was hoping that you were right, but once we started, when I say any feelings of being nervous completely left, I felt like I was speaking to a friend, somebody that's like-minded and like-spirited, and I know once that's also God, and it was smooth sailing, piece of cake. It was great.